Hi.
Hey, hey,
How are you?
doing well, doing well. Sorry for the delay. And yeah, I was trying to do it on my laptop, but unfortunately I wasn't able to, so now I'm doing it off my phone. So
No
yeah,
worries. I'm doing it from my phone as well. It's all good.
gotcha.
But so everyone, this is our guest for season 3, episode 2, Mr. Thomas Deere the third, and I am your host for tonight, Brandy, also known as B, the executive creative director for Sister Soul Sessions. Did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, yes. Well, of course, I want to start off thanking Brittany and her platform for allowing me the opportunity to join and just share with you all my story, my journey. Author of the children's book Teddy Makes Sense, teaching the youth about financial literacy. So just happy to be here and again, thank you, Brittany. Appreciate it.
No, no worries. So we'll just start off by saying, so what inspired you to write Teddy Makes Sense, and how does this book fulfill your mission to educate children about financial literacy?
Gotcha, gotcha. Yes. So I began this journey late 2017. Myself and a good friend were working in the banking industry and had an opportunity to volunteer through junior achievement at a school in the Ferguson Florissant School District within St. Louis. Um, and that experience just really helped to inspire me. We started off with a group of 44th grade boys, and we were responsible for just kind of shaping their outlook, because we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. There were days where it was all about the curriculum and what we were doing. Then there were other days where we had to pull them aside, talk to them, really help develop them and get them to understand the bigger picture, right? And
Right.
so just having that opportunity to interact with the youth, I was like, man, if I could get paid doing this, it wouldn't even be work to me, because you just saw the difference that you were making in the kids' lives. And so eventually, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, how do I want to continue this journey? And then the thought of writing the children's book came to mind. And so I was fortunate enough to have connected with my mentor, Julius, who's over St. Louis Black Authors, who helped to give me insight, give me all the tools that I needed to publish my very first children's book. And now it's put me on the path where it started off about financial literacy, but now it's again what I was doing with the youth. It's helping to uplift the youth, encourage them, help them to realize that anything is possible. So doing those things, it's brought me so much joy. I really do feel as though I've found my purpose, my calling, and then when it comes to just financial literacy, helping to just when we look at some of the statistics, right? They talk about how there is 1 in 5 teens, right, who doesn't have a basic foundation on financial literacy, right? And
Really?
so, yeah, they talk about that. And so when you see that and you just see, okay, if I'm able to visit several schools throughout St. Louis and then, traveling to other places, Arizona, where I've had book signings and, so on and so forth, and just that impact and enlighten them on what I've learned along the way and helping them to avoid some of the mistakes I've learned, I've made along the way as well. I know that they'll be in better shape for the future.
Of course. And I love that. I definitely want to give you your flowers because, we all out here trying to learn.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
trying to go. And as my mom would always say, you don't know what you don't know. So, of course, I'm not certain about like your parents, but like my parents didn't have the best financial literacy. So, therefore, as they're learning, I'm also learning. But what I have learned, I teach my children. So it's funny you said fourth graders, and I'm looking at my son like my son's and I'm, and I'm teaching him.
Definitely,
So I'm
definitely.
laughing in the background, but I'm trying to teach him as well as my daughters. Hey, save your money, things of that sort. I'm trying to teach them as I'm learning. So I definitely thank you for that, and just know that what you're doing is making a huge difference, and it starts while they're young. Of
Thank you, I appreciate that.
course, not a problem. Can you share some specific experiences from your childhood that shaped your understanding of money and financial responsibility?
Oh, yes, yes. Um, you know, of course, chores, doing those different things, learning that, like, hey, in order to obtain this, right, it requires hard work, right? So I would find myself doing chores around the house. Those are ways that my parents helped to instill, like, hey, hard work and just the money habits. And then when I talk about, like, as I got older, and then and I think it was, trying to think, when I was young, I asked my mother. I was like, hey, I think I want to start me a savings account. And that was just um, some advice I had got from my grandfather. So the character Mr. Bennett, I pulled from my three grandfathers. I was very fortunate to have three in my life that were very influential. And so, they would instill certain things in me, like, hey, you're going to have a savings account. And a lot of those things I was able to try to incorporate in the book. But as I got older, let's talk about, like, just some of the choices that hard lessons that I learned, right?
Yes.
So when you talk about having an actual checking account and overdraft fees and overdrafting the account, and and how with that fee, whatever you purchase, there's an added on. Like with my bank, I think it was like $25. And so this was something that I would do, not knowing the hard lesson that I would eventually learn. Like, hey, I have to pay more back than what I initially was hoping to get out of the account. Oh wow, this is so. Uh, my mother, she helped to bail me out of those situations, but eventually I learned a lot of those lessons when I got a chance to work for the bank. But just all throughout my life, there were many experiences that I had, from, again, chores to when I got a chance to start working my first job. I worked at a movie theater in
What?
St. Louis, and yeah, yeah. So that was a great experience. But
Was it?
again, yeah, yeah, it was free
It can't
movies.
beat that.
In high school, what? And that was, yeah. You can't beat that, But along the way, just various, experiences when it comes to, like, just understanding that in order to acquire money, you have to put forth the work to receive that, and then again, just additional lessons along the way of when it comes to the banking experience. So.
I used to work for a bank, and I'm not gonna say which bank, but I used to work for a bank. And that's when I realized a lot of us don't know financial literacy. I never forget a time a customer had called. It was her first bank account, and she overdrew her account. And she wasn't aware that whatever transaction you made over the weekend, they don't process until Tuesday. So when I'm trying to explain this to her, she was like, then how am I going to keep up with what I'm spending? I was like, you ever heard like checks and balances? Like, dude, she was like, what? I was like, okay. I was like, inside your checkbook. She was like, well, I don't have a checkbook. I was like, okay, no worries. I said, you get a piece of paper. I said, whatever your balance is on Friday. I said, whatever you spend, I said, I need you to deduct from that. I said, you want to compare it to whatever it reflects Tuesday morning.
Yep.
But I was surprised. But I think the young lady was only like 20. But even then, I was really taken aback by that. Like, you don't know any of this stuff. But I don't think anybody really uses the the deposit slip or anything in the back of a checkbook no more because it's 2024 and everything's digital.
Exactly. Times have changed. Times have changed. Definitely.
Still have everything in a notebook. And I still write down my transactions, what's coming in, what's going on. I have to.
Oh, I check it on the regular.
Right,
I'm like you. I'm like, okay, let me make sure I got a
right.
good idea of, like, where I'm at. Yeah,
Can't
for sure.
really depend on it because, who in their right mind would know that everything that they're swiping on a weekend, it doesn't update until the following couple of days. But, when you work at a financial institution, you learn a
Yes, you
lot.
do.
You
Yes, you
learn
do.
a lot. Okay, so you mentioned the quote, be the person you needed when you were younger. So how do you embody this philosophy in your work with Dream Big Publishing and your interactions with students?
Yes, yes. So again, just when we had a chance to myself and a good friend, shout out to Tony, when we had got a chance to visit that elementary school in the Ferguson Florissant School District,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just really pouring into those kids, like, hey, stay in school, you know, um, save your money. There was a curriculum, that we were given to teach them, but of course, we added little
Yeah.
extra things, right? We were, I think one time we showed like a presentation or a slide of like young men of the culture, like take the Migos, real flashy. Then we
Yeah.
showed somebody in like a tailored suit, and we were like,
Mm-hmm.
what you see there, that's rich. What you see there, that's wealthy, right? And how we were able to kind of
Yeah.
help them to differentiate between the two and know that, like, hey, somebody that's wealthy, right? They don't wear that on the outside, right? Or if they are, it's something that's low key. But either way, just all of those different things, we were helping to just educate them, pour into them, really some true, genuine life lessons that would benefit them greatly. And so when I was coming of age, yeah, I was fortunate, right? I had, again, my grandfathers, my father. I had, people that were able to, that were influential. But there were still aspects of my life or times in my life where, I was like, if I had been given that perspective, right, that
Mm-hmm.
outlook, all the difference it would have made. Because you go through your phases, you think like, okay, well, let me dress this way based on your group of
Yes.
friends and just who you with, and then you eventually kind of come into your own and who you are, and so now being at that point in my life, who I am, and just knowing who I am, right? I'm like, man, if I had someone like that to just kind of keep me on the course of
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, stay true to yourself and who you are, and don't really veer off. You don't need to really do all of that. Again, just I know it would have made a great difference in my life, and so I want to. So when I am interacting with the kids, I'm trying to ensure like, hey, stay true to who you are, that essence, that innocence of who you are. Dream big, right? Anything's possible. Sharing those things with them. So
No, I greatly appreciate that. And how is it working with fourth graders? How is that experience? Because I have to know this. Because again, I have a fourth grader going in fifth grade. So I mean, and even just trying to get him to sit still long enough to try to explain something to him is a little difficult. So how do you go about that?
so yes. So during that time, we tried various approaches. I was more of the laid back. I would kind of reason with him, talk to him like this. My good
Mhm.
friend Tony, he would demand the crowd, the audience, like, hey, I think he looked for something to improvise. He found like a little smaller ball, like, hey, I got the talking ball. Nobody talking, right? And I just kind of play my role. I'm like, all right, just observe, talk to him. But either way, you need that. You need that balance, right? You need somebody that's
No.
gonna, hey, come on, man. What you doing? Come on, let's be real. Why you doing that? Because you would have some that would get frustrated, push the
Hmm.
paper in front of them, like, man, I don't get it. I'm done. Come on, give it a chance. What you struggling with? What's the tough
Hmm.
part? And I'm talking to them. And that's something that I when I do have visits and I'm explaining to people like a little snippet in my book, like that's something that I try to highlight. Like I got that from my grandfathers. They were individuals that would talk to me and not at me. I feel like
Absolutely.
as parents, we by fault, right? We like, hey, do this, do that. But
Right.
that grandparent, right? They'll sit down and they'll really have a conversation with you. They on their level. They're on your level, right? They're talking to you, or they
Yes.
bring themselves down to your level to understand where you're coming from, right? And so
Hmm.
you feel heard. And so, I would try to incorporate that in those visits with the kids. And then, again, you had your days. It was like a roller coaster, but we enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm so glad that you asked about that because the, the, the moment that we had at the very end when we were able to give them their certificates, despite all of the just things we went through, right? One day these guys bumping heads, next minute, they're wanting to learn and they're back at it. And then to see them cheer each other on when we were calling out their names, like, hey, TJ, come up and get your certificate. Yeah, let's go, TJ. Let's go. The joy, the excitement, and then we sweetened the deal by throwing in like some fruit snacks. You're like, hey, here you go. Just to kind of, just give them that, right? We know that that's something that they would want.
Them for their hard work.
They were so excited. So just, those are some approaches that I would take when interacting with that age group. And but yeah, I have some very fond memories of when we did that.
I love that. I love that they pretty much they encouraged each other, and I think they got that from you, honestly.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so what has been the most memorable reaction or feedback you've received from students during your school visits?
Okay. All right, for the audience, I gotta tell them this story that, oh man, like it was memorable and it's funny and it's so all right, I'm gonna set the scene. So fast forward, after me and my good friend Tony, we have that experience at that elementary school. I didn't really tell you, but he then pursued education, right? Career in education. That's how that experience, that's how impactful that experience was for us, right? I ended up writing a book, became this author. He pursued a career in education. And he just so happened the school that he was at, the elementary school, was like, hey, I got a good friend that wrote a book teaching youth about financial literacy. Threw me an alley-oop, right? Set it up nicely. We then, I visit the school, and then and while I'm there, I'm interacting with like several different age groups. They had me start off with like K through, I think K in first grade, and there were like a few of them, like large groups. And then you had like, I think second and third, and then there were several groups as well. And this one particular group, I'm reading the book to them, and then as I'm now asking them questions just to make sure they were paying attention, I share with them my mantra for Dream Big Publishing. No dream is ever too small. Dream big. They excited. And as I'm explaining to them what a mantra is, I'm like, yeah, y'all remember the book, like, and y'all remember Thomas the Train, how he was like, I think I can. One of the little kids shot up. He was wanting to raise his hand, but he was like, nah, I gotta really tell Mr. Deer this. I gotta let him know. Mr. Deer, that was the little engine that could. The whole classroom the whole gymnasium that we was in just erupted. Teachers, they trying to hide their laughs. The kids, they just laughed. It wasn't nothing I could do in that moment but just laugh,
Right.
But I never forgot that. I always remembered that was the little engine that could, so I was like, that was a great moment, I expect them to call me out like that. Nah, but hey, you got to be on your P's and Q's. But one thing somebody told me, they was like, but for a fact that he was paying attention. Based on that,
yes,
he was paying attention. So, but nah, it was
kids are keeping on your toes. Kids are the most honest people I know, to be honest with you. They do.
Definitely.
They are super honest. Nah, but that's funny.
Yeah, oh, what? I'm talking about, man. I'm looking around. I'm looking for somebody to help me out. Teachers like this. Oh my God. Oh, man. Oh. And I'm sitting there like, oh, man. I'm like, you got me. You right. But yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, that's actually a really good story. And how do you come up with fun and engaging activities like the ice cream cone exercise to teach kids about money?
Well, that was with the help of my mentor, Julius. He's the one that's really big on like when you are interacting with that young of an age group, those kids, you got to have something to really keep their attention, right? Reading the book, the end, and then just saying, okay, all right, thank you, everyone. They're looking for something more. Right. So just bouncing some ideas off of him, he was like, you got this whole ice cream page. Kids love ice cream. what if you did this? And so, we're just talking it through. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. So again, for the audience that's not aware, the ice cream activity. So Teddy himself is a young third grader who really doesn't know the importance of saving his money, right? Hasn't quite grasped that concept throughout at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And later does. And so he would spend his money on ice cream. And again, pulling from my own personal experiences, that's what I would do. Anytime the Bomb Pop truck came around, I was like, hey, Grandpa, I need 4 quarters. I need 4 quarters, So, we would, and so just in doing so, I was like, oh, okay, that's what we can do, And so, well, I wrote about that, kind of highlighting that aspect where Teddy, again, spending his money on ice cream, eventually learns, let me save it. But just tying it back in, the
Mm-hmm.
kids with this activity will get a chance to kind of pitch that idea or pitch their ice cream cone to Teddy. So if Teddy was to come to your actual, I'm kind of setting the scene, right? Kind of having them imagine, okay, if you were having to sell an ice cream cone to Teddy, what would be the name of the ice cream cone? How much would you sell it for? How does it represent you? And have them like present it to the class. And I've heard some incredible names. Swirly, I wish I could, just
I was
speak
just
to
gonna ask, can
some of
you
the ones that
remember
I've
some of
heard,
them?
but super duper chocolate, swirly, they get very creative. How they say it represents them. They talk about, oh, well, it represents me because I love this. And so just with the activity, it's helping to build their confidence, ingenuity, right? It's just a overall fun activity. But again, I definitely got to credit my mentor for helping me to really come up with that concept. And it's been a success for sure.
I do. I definitely enjoy that exercise, and should go on a tour. Just go on a tour, like nationwide. Go on a tour nationwide, and then take it international. But no, I really do it. Like I see that for you, though. I
Thank
definitely
you.
see that for you. I see you going
I
nationwide with your
appreciate
book
that.
and on tour and going from just different elementary schools. And I truly feel like any age can honestly benefit from that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That definitely means a lot to me. Yeah, yeah. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm definitely enjoying it. Like with the help of people I may have gone to high school with.
Hmm.
People are definitely showing their support. Some of those same people are now principals at elementary
Hmm.
schools, either or maybe educators. And they're like, hey, T, we want you to come visit. So those are how some of those opportunities have come along. Others, in other states have just reached out, saw some of the work that I was doing. And then, I mean, even yourself providing me with this platform to just share my experiences. I mean, yeah, it's all been, it's all appreciated very much so.
I was just going to say, if you don't mind, if I refer a few schools out here in Texas to have
Oh, most
you come in
definitely.
and speak.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Yes, yes, of course, of course. And
I'll
you know
find a way to
what?
set it up.
Um, how much time do we have? Because I got another story I wanted to just very quickly share with you.
We have 15 minutes.
Okay, all right, real quick. So you talk about it not only applying to young kids, but like older kids. I had an
Absolutely.
opportunity. So this one, it's it's it talks about how you have to be persistent, right? Or it highlights that aspect. So I got a chance to speak to a group of high schoolers,
Hmm.
and let's just say, for each audience that you're speaking to, you have to, know your audience. You have to adjust that. And I went in there trying to provide statistics and really try to make it very formal. And when I say like it was, you could have heard a pin drop, like I mean, they were looking at me like, man, who is this guy? And then how I was dressed too. I tried to come in there looking like an author, right? I wasn't quite just with the advice of others that I've gotten. They're like, T, man, just be yourself, be relaxed. Sometimes you don't have to put on such a preppy look, and so I really thought like I was at like an Apollo show and the Sandman was finna just get the rushing me off the stage. That's how like tough it was.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden I was like, hold on, nah, y'all not finna kick me out of here. Y'all not finna do me like that. So I flipped the script. I was like, yo, so how many of y'all got businesses? And then I saw some people like, oh yeah. So me saying that, I went from doing a presentation to making it more conversational, and then by talking to them, and just letting them know, like, yeah, man, I remember. I'm looking at them, I'm seeing how some of them are dressed. I'm like, man, I remember when, clothes and shoes and those things were like everything to me. And I was like, now I got a daughter. I mean, I seen like a couple young brothers like lean up,
Yeah, they lean
like
in
really
there like, all
like
right,
yeah,
they
yeah, like,
talking.
whoa, okay. I don't know if some of them were in my same position,
Mhm.
right? But, I definitely had piqued their interest. And as I was talking and as we were talking back and forth, you saw a shift. So let's just say if I had 30 minutes, the first 15, whoo, it was a little rough. But the second 15, you saw a different audience. They were engaged. And I just wanted to kind of share that too, because I've had my moments where I
That's
was, whoo, oh, yeah, I knocked it out the park. Then I've had other moments where it was like I had to and get up out of there, like really dig
just
myself out
really
of there
feel
to,
for it.
yeah, exactly. And those moments are usually just on the off the cuff. I mean, you prepare,
Mhm.
but still, when you get there, it's nothing like just that engagement and how you talk to them and when the feedback that you get back. So I just want to share that real quick.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And that's super important because you do any room you walk into, you want to get a feel for the room, for the energy and things of that sort. And on top of that, I'll add that there are different learning styles. So people learn
Yep.
differently. So how you're used to teaching or your approach with fourth graders is definitely completely different with those who are in middle school as well as compared to those who are in high school. And it just depends on people's like situations and things like that. But I will tell you, out here in Texas, before middle school, they have what's called intermediate school. So intermediate school is just fifth and sixth grade, and elementary school stops at fourth grade.
Oh,
But
really?
mhm.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to try to set you up with elementary and intermediate
Okay.
schools out here.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, thank
We're
you.
gonna make this
Thank you.
happen. We're gonna make this. Okay, so how was your background in banking and IT influenced your approach to promoting financial literacy?
Ooh, okay. Okay. All right. First, I'll start off by just saying that while working in the banking industry, I
Mhm.
actually got a chance to connect with an individual who works where I currently work now, right?
Mhm.
Within the IT space. And so through networking is how I landed this opportunity to now work in the IT space. So, it's like all of it goes hand in hand. All of it was purposeful and meaningful in that regard. And I would not be in the position to have written the book, published it myself, started my own publishing company without being in this actual position. So again, just tying it all together and just showing the audience or explaining to the audience how all of it, you know, uh, was just purposeful. I can express that enough. The ideas lingered in my mind always well after I had left the banking industry. Like, hey, write the book. I could be on vacation, I could be hanging out with friends, but in the back of my mind, it was always like, T, get the book done, do the book. And so, you know, yeah, I'm just very grateful for the back, and when I'm talking of celebrities, I'm talking about, just trying to tap in with some of them that have
like bigger
foundations.
platforms and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
nonprofits, and really trying to say, hey, I got this book. I believe in that book. Like, I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I think it would be great for you all to, maybe check it out,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we can collaborate. I can come speak to some of your youth, and I mean, I've heard back, but then maybe it kind of stops there, right? You have these expectations, these hopes, like, oh man, okay, maybe this can reach these people, right? Or you know, um, other visits to certain places, hoping to travel to these places, and maybe not hearing back, or maybe just people are not interested. So it comes with it, right?
Of
It's
course.
it's I want to say that for every yes that I've endured, like what people always express, for every yes, there's 1,000 no's, or there's just times where you may not get a response, and yeah, I mean it's discouraging at times, but you
Mm-hmm.
still gotta keep the faith, and you gotta keep going, especially if it's something that you believe in. And this book is something that I believe in. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, we'll say this: use social media as a tool.
Hmm.
Always use social media as a tool, because obviously you now are connected with us. You are connected to our followers, and we support each other. And as we continuously share, it goes further and further and further. So the network spreads your message, what it is that you're putting out there, it spreads, and eventually it will reach those people at the top.
Definitely. Definitely. You're right about that. You're definitely right about that. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
So definitely don't give up. Again, like I said, I definitely see you going nationwide, doing a book tour. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. I definitely see it going far and wide. And of course, once you do roll out your app, once you do roll out your curriculum online, it goes from there. You might even end up on Jennifer Hudson's show, sitting on her
Hey,
couch,
hey, hey,
telling
hey,
her about
hey,
it.
let's speak that into existence. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. For sure.
Anything is possible. You go as far as you want to go.
You're right about that.
Um, so this will be the last question for the
Okay.
night. What are your future goals for Dream Big Publishing and your mission to educate the youth about financial literacy? And are there any new projects or books on the horizon?
Okay. Okay. All right. Goals for Dream Big Publishing. I would like to I would like to have published others who are, authors up under the Dream Big Publishing, help to collaborate and bring their dreams to life. I've spoken with some authors along the way who shown interest. But yeah, I mean, I just want to help to grow the brand, grow the company,
Mhm.
and all the work that I'm doing is I wanted to inspire them, and for them to see, like, okay, all right, this is someone that's truly passionate about what it is he's doing, and I feel as though he's going to put that same bit of effort and push behind what it is that they're doing, right? So,
Yes.
I'm trying to, really show them that, hey, the sky's the limit, anything's possible, and I'm taking risks, I'm doing it all, as far as financial literacy, I would like to, a goal would be having copies of Teddy Makes Sense in every school across the nation. And I know I've received a huge amount of support from my hometown of St. Louis. So definitely shout out to everyone back home. I definitely love y'all for helping me to get to this point where I'm at. Um, as far as and then the last question was just to confirm.
The
What
last question was, did you have any upcoming projects in the works?
upcoming projects in the works? Yes. I began the I plan on making Teddy Makes Sense a series. So I'm working on that. I'm crafting that, as we speak.
Mhm.
So that's in development. But yeah, I'm definitely invested in this. Like the response and that I'm getting from so many people. People like, Even my grandmother, hey, so when's the next? I think she asked me that after she got her first copy. So when's the next one? I'm like, do you not realize all the work that went into this first book? I'm like, oh man. So, but no, yeah, making Teddy Make Sense a series, really kind of continuing that. I wanna make sure that it lives up to this first one. You know, I don't want people to read the second one and be like, oh, this is not like the first one. So, you know, you just really trying to think through, you know, this development. Now, I'm not gonna rush it. I'm gonna take my time, right? Just make sure that it's just right. But yeah, that's the plan.
Don't let the pressure get to you either. Don't let anyone rush you. As much as it is anticipated to be a series, most definitely, I would say take your time. Take your time, do your research, and just make it the best follow up ever. And then, of course, you have to top that one, of course.
Exactly. And then I'm gonna have to top that one, so it's gonna be like, yeah, but no,
And you
yeah,
will. I
absolutely.
mean, you will, and you know this. You know this is a process. It's a process. But what I would simply say is like, just don't allow that pressure to kind of bring you down and discourage you. It's good. It's a good pressure. It's everyone's anticipating it. We're excited. We're ready, and just don't let it get to you.
I
Okay.
got you.
So, how can everyone reach out to you? How can everyone support you?
Okay. All right. So I'll start with the website
Hmm.
for Dream Big Publishing. It's www.dreambigpublish.com. So it's not the publishing, but for me, it's www.dreambigpublish.com.
Hmm.
Dream Big Publish on all platforms as well. And then as far as myself, on all platforms, all social media platforms, I am Thomas Deere. Again, I am Thomas Deere on all social media platforms. So, you know, definitely feel free to, you know, follow me, you know, and let's stay connected for sure.
Of course. So I thank everyone for tuning in. This is again Thomas Dear the Third, and this is season 3, episode 2. I thank everyone for stopping in. Please, please, please support this man and his initiative because it's going to help our kids and our kids after that become successful and set them up for success. I thank you all again, and thank you so much again for your time and for coming through and letting us highlight who you are and what it is that you're doing for our youth. And I hope you have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.